automatic emission control systems. Why emission control is required? We should see. As far as the pollutants are concerned, the automotive pollution, it creates a major adverse effect on the environment. Environmental pollution from vehicle sources continues to attract worldwide attention. The danger posed by natural environment and human health is multidimensional and bound to grow in significance following the global upsurge in automobile vehicle and its use. The vehicles powered by fossil fuels are major contributors to air pollution. In fact, transportation emits more than half of nitrogen oxides in our air and is a major source of global warming emissions in United States and in India. And the studies reveals that the pollutants from vehicle exhaust have adverse effect and impacts on nearly every organ system of our body. While this air pollution carries significant risks for human health and the environment through clean vehicle and fuel technologies, we can significantly reduce the emissions with better automatic emission control systems. Then what are the gradients of the pollutants to be controlled? As far as the vehicles are concerned, the vehicles, in fact, mainly cars, trucks, and buses, produce air pollution throughout their life cycle, including pollution emitted during vehicle operation and the fuel production. Fuel, I mean fossil fuels. Additional emissions are associated with refining and distribution of fuels, and to a lesser extent, manufacturing and disposal of the vehicle. Air pollution from cars, trucks, and buses is categorized into primary and secondary pollution. Primary pollution is emitted directly into the atmosphere. Secondary pollution results from chemical reactions between pollutants in the atmosphere. Okay, the major pollutants, if we look into, which are emitted by automotive vehicles, the particulate matter, and diesel exhaust is a major contributor of particulate matter. What is this particulate matter? Particulate matter is the soot seen in the vehicle exhaust. The fine particles, less than 1/10 the diameter of human hair, pose a serious threat to human health as they can penetrate deep into the lungs. Particulate matter can be a primary pollutant or it may be a secondary pollutant. And another important pollutant emitted by vehicles, volatile organic compounds. What are these volatile organic compounds? These pollutants react with nitrogen oxides in the presence of sunlight to form ground level ozone, a main ingredient in smog. Though beneficial in upper atmosphere, at the ground level, the ozone gas irritates the respiratory system, causing coughing, choking, and reduced lung capacity. Volatile organic compounds emitted from cars, trucks, and buses, which include the toxic air pollutants like benzene, acetaldehyde, and butylene. And another important pollutant emitted by vehicles is nitrogen oxides. These pollutants form ground level ozone and particulate matter. Nitrogen oxide is harmful as a primary pollutant. Nitrogen oxide can cause lung irritation and weaken body's defenses against respiratory infections such as pneumonia and influenza. And another important pollutant emitted by vehicle, carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is odorless and it is colorless and poisonous gas which is formed by combustion of fossil fuels such as gasoline and is emitted primarily from cars and trucks. When carbon monoxide is inhaled, it blocks oxygen from the brain, heart, and other vital organs. Another important, another important pollutant emitted from vehicle, it is sulfur dioxide. As far as the sulfur dioxide is concerned, sulfur dioxide is polluted, is emitted by the power plants and motor vehicles, which create this pollutant by burning sulfur containing fuels, especially diesel and coal. Sulfur dioxide can react in the atmosphere to form fine particles and as other pollutants poses the largest health risk to young children and it leads to asthma. And greenhouse gases, if we look into, motor vehicles also emit pollutants, predominantly carbon dioxide, that contribute to global climate change. Okay, as far as this greenhouse gases are concerned, because of addition of more and more carbon dioxide in the greenhouse, which warms the atmosphere and which warms the Earth's atmosphere, causing widespread climate change. Car pollutants cause immediate and long-term effects on the environment. Car exhausts emit a wide range of gases and solid matter, causing global warming, acid rain, and harming environment and human health. Engine noise and fuel spills also cause pollution. Cars, trucks, and other forms of transportation are the single largest contributor to air pollution in United States and in developing countries like China and India. Okay, and global warming, it is one of the very major dangerous contribution by these pollutants. And as far as this greenhouse gases are concerned, mainly the contribution to greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide, which is emitted by vehicle. Greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere, which causes worldwide temperature to rise. Without greenhouse gases, the earth would be covered the ice, but burning excessive amount of fossil fuels such as gasoline and diesel has caused an increase in 0.6 degrees Celsius in the global temperature since pre-industrial times. And now it is time for all of us. If these pollutants are not controlled properly, and if you don't have any controlling measures, then it is going to be a major threat to the Earth's atmosphere. Now, As far as the automotive emission control systems are concerned, what are these systems? What are these automatic emission control systems? How these can support in minimizing the effects of pollution to the atmosphere. This is what we are going to discuss. Now, if we look into the main purpose of emission control systems are concerned, the purpose of emission control is to reduce amount of pollutants and environmentally damaging substances released by the vehicles. What are the pollutants? Just now I named. If these pollutants are not controlled, the automobile can emit pollutants from fuel tank, carburetor crankcase, and exhaust system in the atmosphere. The fuel tank and the carburetor emit gasoline vapors. See, the fuel tank and the carburetor. Carburetor is a component which is present in petrol engines. Okay. The fuel tank and the carburetor emit gasoline vapors. Okay. And in case of diesel engines, only the fuel tank, there is no carburetor. Okay. From the fuel tank, it emits diesel vapors. And crankcase releases partly burned air fuel mixture blown off by the piston rings and pollutants from the exhaust system consists of partly burned hydrocarbons. See, fuel tank and carburetor will emit fuel vapors. Crankcase releases partly burnt air fuel mixture, that is the blow by gases. And the exhaust system will pollute the partly burned hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, sulfur oxide, and nitrogen oxides. The smoke may be formed due to incomplete burning of fuel. What is incomplete burning of fuel? If all the exhaust is in the form of carbon dioxide, we can say it is complete combustion. If it is not possible to have complete combustion in any vehicle, so always incomplete combustion leads to presence of carbon monoxide in the exhaust. It took many years for public and automotive industry to address the problem of vehicle pollutants. Okay, and it is estimated that in USA alone 200 million tons of man-made pollutants add to the air. Therefore, these pollutants, if not controlled, adversely affect our health and our environment, and it also affects the agriculture. Automobile manufacturers have been working towards reduction of automotive air pollutants when auto emissions were found to be part of the smog. The emission of pollutants from the vehicle can be decreased by improving combustion efficiency. How combustion efficiency? The burning of fuel in the combustion chamber should happen as minimum duration as possible so that the better combustion can be achieved, better combustion efficiency can be achieved, which in turn needs a redesigning of fuel tank, carburetor combustion chamber, cooling system, and the exhaust system. To improve the combustion efficiency, it needs redesigning of fuel tank, carburetor combustion chamber, cooling system, and exhaust system. The other way of controlling The other way of controlling atmospheric pollution is destroy the pollutants after they have been formed. The meaning of this destroying the pollutants after they have been formed. That means before the exhaust reaches to the atmosphere, the harmful pollutants can be converted into harmless pollutants. That is the controlling the atmospheric pollution, that is destroying the pollutants after they have been formed. That means converting the harmful pollutants into harmless pollutants before the exhaust from the vehicle is reaches to the atmosphere. This is how we are going to have, this is how it is required to have a control system on emissions which are emitted by vehicles. Now, what are the techniques, what are the methods, what are the systems at present which is used by automotive manufacturers to control the emission of pollutants? There are 4 different systems which are used to control emission of pollutants. One is closed crankcase ventilation. Closed crankcase ventilation, fuel tank and carburetor ventilation, redesigning the engine, combustion chamber, cooling system, fuel supply system, and ignition system. Okay, we have 4 important systems or techniques through which emission of pollutants can be controlled so that the pollutants emitted by the vehicles, once when it reaches to atmosphere, should not be much harmful. The techniques which are used presently is closed crankcase ventilation. This is very important method. Fuel tank and carburetor ventilation, redesigning the engine, combustion chamber. Okay, in redesigning the engine, we are going to redesign the combustion chamber, redesign the cooling system, redesign the fuel supply system, and redesign the ignition system. Now, the first method, if we look into in controlling the emission of pollutants, the closed crankcase ventilation system. Closed crankcase ventilation system. Okay, in this closed crankcase ventilation system, this system will control the emissions emitted from the crankcase, the pollutants emitted from the crankcase. Here we have 2 systems. One is positive crankcase ventilation system, and another one is fixed orifice system. As far as this crankcase ventilation system is concerned, in an internal combustion engine, a crankcase ventilation system removes unwanted gases from the crankcase. This system usually consists of a tube, a one-way valve, and a vacuum source, which I am going to show in the figure. What are the unwanted gases? What are the unwanted gases? The unwanted gases, it is called the blow-by gas from the combustion chamber, which have been leaked past the piston rings. Okay, and in 2-stroke engine with a crankcase compression design do not need a crankcase ventilation system, whereas it is a necessity and it is a must as far as the 4-stroke engines are concerned. Now, in this closed crankcase ventilation system, as I said, we have 2 systems. One is positive crankcase ventilation. Another one is fixed orifice system. As far as this positive crankcase ventilation system is concerned, in this positive crankcase ventilation, it is a system which is developed to remove harmful vapors from the engine and to prevent these vapors from being expelled into the atmosphere. In this positive crankcase ventilation, it is a system which is developed to remove harmful vapors from the engine and to prevent the vapors from being reaching into the atmosphere. The positive crankcase ventilation system does this by using a manifold vacuum to draw vapors from crankcase into the manifold. In this system, I will show the figure and I will explain with figure. In this system, you can see here we are going to have two systems, and particularly in positive crankcase system, once when the engine is running, in this positive crankcase ventilation system, when the engine is running, some unburnt fuel and combustion products leak past the piston rings and move into the crankcase. This leakage is called blow by gas. This blow by gas must be removed from the engine crankcase before it condenses and reacts with the engine oil to form the sludge. See, the blow by gas has to be removed from the engine crankcase before it condenses and reacts with oil to form the sludge. This sludge may corrode and it accelerates the wear of pistons, piston rings, valves, bearings, etc. The sludge can also clog eye lines and store the lubrication system. As the engine circulates, it also carries blow-by gases and some unburned fuel particles, which are formed due to incomplete combustion of air-fuel mixture into the crankcase. If these blow-by gases are not removed, what happens? If these blow-by gases are not removed, these blow-by gases will dilute the engine's oil, and hence the oil does not lubricate the engine properly, resulting in excessive wear. If the lubrication is not proper in the engine, then the wear in the engine increases. The main objective of lubrication is to minimize the wear. If engine lubrication is not working properly, then the wear increases in the system. That is how it is very important to remove the blow-by gases from the engine crankcase. The filtered air from the carburetor, air cleaner must be circulated through the crankcase to remove blow-by gases and gasoline vapors from the crankcase. How these blow-by gases are removed? By passing the filtered air, and this filtered air is taken from the carburetor air cleaner. By passing the filtered air through the engine crankcase, the blowback gases are removed from the engine crankcase. If these blowback gases are not removed from the engine crankcase during its operation, what happens is inside the engine wear increases because improper lubrication system, and a sludge will be created, and which reduces the power developed by the system. So blowback gases are removed from the engine crankcase by passing the filtered air through the engine crankcase. To prevent atmospheric pollution, to prevent atmospheric pollution, modern engines have a closed called PCV system, positive crankcase ventilation system. And this system I will explain with the figure. This is the how it is going to. Okay, so here you can see carburetor. You can see I will bring one by one portion. This is the crankcase where the blowback, the blow by gases are to be removed. This is the carburetor. This is the air cleaner. The air is taken from the air cleaner and it is passed through the engine crankcase, and the filtered air will remove the blowaway gases from the crankcase while it is passed through the engine crankcase. And the how the this is the PCV valve. You can see this is the positive crankcase ventilation valve. How this valve will works, I will explain. You can see here, just you concentrate on the figure. I will explain how it works. The positive crankcase valve, it consists of a, see, figure you can see. It consists of a spring-loaded tapered valve. The valve is in closed position under the action of crankcase pressure and manifold vacuum, whereas the spring pressure keeps the valve open, thereby regulates the flow of blowaway gases. During idle or deceleration condition of the vehicle, the engine speed is less, the blowaway gas is less due to lesser engine speed and lesser engine load. And a small PCV valve opening is needed to move blowaway gases out of the crankcase during engine idling or engine stopping. Once when the engine speed is more, once when the load on the engine is this thing, once when the engine is running under normal operating condition, the high intake manifold vacuum moves the tapered valve against spring pressure, thus provides small opening in the valve for the flow of blowaway gases. During the throttling process, during the normal speed, during the normal engine acting on the engine, okay, during this the engine speed is higher than the idling condition of the engine, and during this normal operating condition, what is the condition of blowaway gases? The blowaway gases are increases in the engine crankcase and manifold vacuum decreases. The spring moves the tapered valve to increase the opening. The larger opening allows the entire blowaway gases to enter into the intake manifold, to enter into the intake manifold, to enter into the intake manifold, to enter into the intake manifold. a high speed or when the engine is operating under heavy load, the throttle valve opens widely and decreases intake manifold vacuum. The spring moves the tapered valve further down to provide a larger opening through the valve. Okay, the amount of blowaway gases is more when the engine load is high. Hence, the PCV valve opening is essential to allow these blowaway gases through to flow through the valve into the intake manifold. Whatever the blow by gases which are removed from the valve are taken into the engine manifold. Blow by gases are nothing but unburned portion of air and fuel mixture. Again, whatever it is removed from the crankcase, it is supplied to the engine bag and in the form of a new intake into the engine. Okay, this is how it is going to operate. And as far as this another method in positive crankcase ventilation system, it is fixed orifice PCV system, positive crankcase ventilation system. Okay, in this positive crankcase in this system, here we will not be having the positive crankcase valve. We are not having PCV valve is absent, totally absent. There are some engines which are not fitted with PCV valve. Then how the blow-by gases from the crankcase are removed? Okay, yes, the blow-by gases are removed into the intake or routed into the intake manifold through a fixed orifice tube. This system, it works exactly similar to the PCV valve which we have seen, except that this system is regulated only by the vacuum on the orifice. The orifice vacuum, it controls the removal of blow-by gases, the amount of removal of blow-by gases from the engine crankcase and which is supplied to the intake manifold, which is supplied to the intake manifold. The amount of blow-by gases, flows into the intake manifold is limited by size compared to the PCV valve system which we have seen. Okay, now we should see another this thing, controlling evaporative emissions. Okay, this evaporative emissions will take place in the fuel tank and in the carburetor bowl, in the carburetor. Okay, so as far as this evaporative emissions are concerned, in controlling the evaporative emissions, okay, the evaporative emission control system captures petrol fumes and other emissions produced when fuel evaporates within the fuel tank. This system then returns these vapors to the combustion process to keep the harmful chemicals from reaching the air when the vehicle is not running. Okay, so this it is not necessary to have this emission from the fuel tank or carburetor. The engine should be running. Okay, and these emissions will take place due to temperature difference, and these emissions will take place from the fuel tank and from the carburetor. The fuel evaporative control system capture the gasoline vapors from the fuel tank and carburetor float bowl and prevents them from escaping into the atmosphere. This system is called by various names such as active, emission control, evaporative emission control ECS, or cycle vapor recovery or recovery system, vapor saver recovery system. Okay, vapor recovery system in carbureted engines. We are going to discuss this vapor recovery system in petrol engine as well as in diesel engine. Now, first we are going to discuss the how the vapor recovery system works in carbureted engine. Then we are going to discuss the vapor recovery system, how it works in diesel engines. Now, if we look into the vapor recovery system in carbureted engines are concerned, if the vehicle is not fitted with this system, what happens? If this system is fitted into the system, what happens? That we have to discuss. If the vehicle is not fitted with vapor recovery system, the gasoline vapors from the fuel tank and carburetor escape into the atmosphere by evaporation or breathing. Okay, I will explain how the fuel tank will breathe. The fuel tank breathes. The fuel tank breathes with change in temperature. As the temperature in always inside the fuel tank, some amount of air will be present. That point first we should remember. As the temperature increases, the air inside the tank expands. As the temperature of the atmosphere increases, the air which is available inside the tank will expand, and this is forced out through either the filter cap or through the tank vent. This air, it is not only air vapor, this air carries some amount of petrol vapor also. This air, it is not only air vapor, it also carries some gasoline vapor. Okay, if it is allowed to reach into the atmosphere, 2 points will have. First thing, some amount of petrol we are losing, yes, and whatever the gasoline vapor it reaches into the atmosphere, we are adding some amount of pollutants to the atmosphere. Okay, when the temperature decreases, when the temperature of the atmosphere decreases, the air inside contracts and hence outside air enters into the tank. I was telling, always there is some amount of air inside the engine fuel tank. Inside, Vijay, you are marking. Okay. See, I used to tell you, always there is some amount of, always there is some amount of, always there is some amount of air is present. Always some amount of air is present inside the fuel tank. As the temperature of atmosphere increases, the air inside the tank will expand, and this air, it also carries some gasoline vapor. Okay, and this will escape through the fuel tank, through the fuel tank, through by passing through the fuel tank cap or tank vent. Okay, and whatever the air which is lost from the fuel tank, as the temperature of atmosphere decreases, again the air inside the petrol tank contracts and outside air enters into the engine tank. See, by allowing air and gasoline vapor to reach into the atmosphere, we are losing some amount of petrol and we are adding some amount of pollution to the atmosphere. Okay, so this could be avoided, and this is avoided by providing vapor recovery system, and this is provided by fitting this vapor recovery system into carbureted in fact petrol engines. Okay, how this system will work, how this vapor system will work, I will explain with the figure how this it will work. The gasoline vapor is also escapes from the carburetor float bowl. In the previous session we have seen the gasoline vapor is escaping along with air through the fuel tank vent, and some amount of gasoline vapor is also escaping always from the carburetor float ball by the evaporation. When the engine is running, the Cater float ball is full. Always the Cater float ball is full whenever the engine is running. When the engine stops, that time also the float ball it is in full condition. When the engine stops, the heat of the engine evaporates some or all of the gasoline stored in the float ball. Okay, when the engine stops, the heat of engine evaporates whatever the petrol which is available in the float ball, it evaporates. Here also, what we are losing some amount of petrol, plus we are adding some amount of pollutants into the atmosphere, and this can be avoided. The leakage of petrol vapor from fuel tank and the leakage of petrol vapor from carburetor can be avoided by providing this VRS system, vapor recovery system. And this vapor recovery system, it reduces the pollution by preventing petrol vapor to escape into the atmosphere from fuel tank as well as from carburetor. All the modern cars are fitted with vapor recovery system. Okay. So this how it works? This vapor recovery system, how it works? I will explain. It's working with the diagram. It's working with the diagram. You can see the diagram. It consists of the carburetor. It consists of the fuel tank. Okay, and it consists of the purge control valve, and it consists of carbon or charcoal canister. I will explain how it works systematically. This is the diagram of vapor recovery system, which is fitted into modern vehicles to prevent the escape of petrol vapors from the carburetor and from the fuel tank. Okay, the fuel tank and the carburetor are vented. You can see the figure. The fuel tank and carburetor are vented to a carbon or charcoal canister instead of vented into the atmosphere. Okay, when the engine stops, fuel vapors run the tank and float ball enters into a carbon or charcoal canister. Okay, it consists of the system which shows it consists of a charcoal canister or it is of carbon. Okay, what it does in the canister, the activated charcoal absorbs the vapor and stores it to the outside of the charcoal, to the outside of the charcoal. How it will absorb? It is simple. How it will absorb? Absorbing the vapors. It means vapors are trapped. Vapors are trapped by sticking to the outside of the charcoal particles. Outside of the charcoal part. Absorbing in the sense it will not absorb physically. The absorbing the vapors, it means the petrol vapors are trapped by sticking to the outside of the charcoal particles. When the engine starts, the gasoline vapor, when this point you remember, when the engine starts, the gasoline vapor in the canister is picked up by fresh air flowing through it. Then the air flows into the engine intake manifold and becomes part of air fuel mixture entering into the engine cylinder. Okay, if this system, VRS system is not provided, the petrol vapors from the fuel tank and the petrol vapors from the carburetor, it escapes into the atmosphere. Here, what we are doing is the vapors which are escaping from the carburetor, from the fuel tank, it is passed through a system which is consisted of carbon or charcoal canister, and this charcoal canister, it will absorb the petrol vapors. Absorb in the sense the vapors are stick into the outside particles of the charcoal. Okay, once when the engine starts running, okay, the air passing from the carburetor, it will absorb the petrol vapors, and this air, it is taken into the intake manifold and it will become a part of inlet to the engine. Whatever the vapors otherwise would have escaped into the atmosphere, that vapor, it is a part of the inlet into the combustion chamber. Okay, that means this system not only prevents the vapor leaking into the atmosphere, it also uses effectively the petrol vapors which are leaking out from carburetor and fuel tank effectively as a fresh inlet charge into the engine cylinder. Okay, the action of flow of fresh air, the action of flow of fresh air to pick up the trapped gasoline vapor from the canister is called purging. Okay, the process, whatever the air while passing into the carbon system, it picks up the vapor, and the air picking up the petrol vapors, this process is called purging process. It is called purging process, P-U-R-G-I-N-G. It is called purging process. The system also consists of a vapor liquid separator on the fuel tank. This system, not only it will become the fresh charge, it also consists of a vapor liquid separator on the fuel tank. Okay, this chamber, okay, the vapor liquid separator, this chamber separates vapor from liquid gasoline, which in turn this liquid petrol, it is returned to the tank. It is returned to the tank. A mechanically operated vent valve or an electrically operated solenoid valve may be used to control the flow of vapors from the fuel tank. Okay, here the mechanically operated vent valve, we can see the vent valve. The whatever the vent valve is there, it is mechanically operated. This valve, I am bringing the cursor here. This valve, this is the mechanically operated valve. Okay, the mechanical valves operated by throttle linkage during idling of the engine, it is open and causes the vapor to flow from the float chamber to the canister. Okay, this is how it is going to happen. See, this VRS system, it is very useful in two ways. One is it prevents some of the pollutants addition into the atmosphere. Not only it prevents whatever the petrol vapor which is which is coming as a leakage from the fuel tank as well as carburetor. Okay, the air will pick, and this entire system, whatever the vapor which is leaking from the carburetor and fuel tank, that leaked vapor, it will become a part of fresh intake into the combustion chamber. Okay, and efficiency of the engine also increases, and the addition of pollutants in the atmosphere, it also decreases. And this vapor recovery system, it is fitted into modern petrol, all the modern petrol engines which are manufactured from 2015 onwards. And now we should discuss about the evaporative control system. Now we have seen the evaporative control system for petrol engines. Okay, now we should discuss the evaporative control system for diesel engines, that is fuel injected engines. Fuel injected engines in the sense it is not but diesel engines only. The fuel injection system do not have a float ball because see, one point remember, carburetor is present only in petrol engines. Carburetor is absent in diesel engines. Okay, once when carburetor is not there, the question of float ball will not come into picture. The fuel injection system do not have float ball. Therefore, emission control systems, this evaporative control system, it controls the escape of fuel vapor from the fuel tank only. Okay, the source of escaping fuel in case of diesel engine is only fuel tank, whereas the source of escaping fuel in case of petrol engine is the fuel tank as well as the float ball in the carburetor. Okay, the here also canister system is there. The canister is connected. Here also the canister is there. What the system we have seen, see this system what we have seen here also, it is there also in diesel engines also. The canister is connected to the hose from the fuel tank. You can see, I will show you the figure. You can see, just you see the figure. It consists of fuel tank, and this fuel tank, whatever the vapors it is leaking from the fuel tank, okay, it is taken into the system where it is filled with charcoal canister or carbon. Okay, then once when the engine is starting, the air is passed through this canister and it picks the diesel vapors from the canister, and the air is passed through the, it is allowed to pass into the throttle valve. It is allowed to pass into the throttle valve. Okay, here also same thing. Whatever the diesel which is leaking out from the fuel tank due to breathing of fuel tank, otherwise it would have been escaped into the atmosphere, and it also adds pollutants to the atmosphere. And this system, VRS system, evaporative recovery system, which is considered with charcoal canister, the vapors which are leaking from the fuel tank of diesel engines, and it is passed through this charcoal, and here the charcoal will absorb the vapors. Again, I was telling the what is purging process. Purging, P-U-R-G-I-N-G, purging process. It is a process whereby the air will pick up the vapors from the canister. The picking the air which picks the petrol diesel vapor, this process is called purging. Okay, and again this here also in this diesel engine also, the vapor which are leaking out from the fuel tank, it will not be wasted, and it will become one of the it will become as the fresh injection into the engine system. Okay, this is how it is going to be this thing. And the purge line, you can see the purge line, I will show you this thing. This is a complete, this is called the purge line from here to here. Okay, again I'm defining what is purging. Purging is nothing but the air picks the fuel vapors from the canister. This process is called purging. Okay, this fuel, this is the purge line into the throttle valve. This is how it is going to. And here in the previous case, in case of petrol engine, okay, what we have seen is the vent valve is operated from mechanical device, whereas in case of this operating control system in diesel engines, the solenoid valve may be fitted on the canister. So this is the valve. The solenoid valve may be fitted on the canister or in the purge line, and it will be normally open once when the engine is in operation. The purge line, it will be open once when the engine is in operation. This is how it is going to happen. The working principle of that previous petrol and diesel, as far as the operative control systems are concerned, same. One point you remember between these two systems. What point? The source of vapors in case of petrol engine. So here the leakage of vapor from the fuel tank as well as from the float bowl. But here in case of fuel injected engines or diesel engines, the fuel vapor source is only the fuel tank, because carburetor is absent in case of diesel engines. I will repeat once again how it is going to operate. Okay, the operation is same as far as the previous petrol engine systems are concerned, as far as the operative control systems are concerned. These are all, this is the system which is fit into the modern diesel engines, which are manufactured since 2010. That is the BS3. Once when the Bharat stage emission system, third, once when it comes into picture, that duration onwards, these systems are fitted into the modern diesel engines in India also. Okay, how it works, just I will repeat. The fuel injection system do not have a, this system do not have a float valve. Therefore, the operating control system controls escape of fuel vapor from the fuel tank only. The canister, you can see the canister is connected to hose from the fuel. This is the hose pipe. This is the hose pipe. The purge line from the canister is connected to the throttle valve. An electric purge control solenoid may be used instead of vacuum controlled purge valve. Generally, in this system, the solenoid valve may be fitted on the canister or in the purge line, and always whenever the engine is operating, this purge line, it is open. This is how it is going to work. Now we should see another important system, that is cleaning of another important system. What we are going to cleaning of exhaust gas. Okay. See, exhaust gas, it consists of number of pollutants. What are the pollutants which are polluting from the exhaust of any vehicle, whether it is a petrol or diesel? One is carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile hydrocarbons, and sulfur dioxide. These exhaust gases has to be controlled before it reaches into the atmosphere, so that after controlling, the effect of these pollutants may not be that much of adverse without controlling these exhaust gases. That is the main objective of this cleaning the exhaust gases. So what is cleaning process? What is the cleaning of exhaust gas process? Let us an exhaust gas cleaning system. An exhaust gas cleaning system, it removes at least nitrogen oxides contained in exhaust gas from a combustion source. Here the catalysts are used. The ammonia generation catalytic converter generates ammonia using constituent at least some of the exhaust gas emitted from the combustion source during the vehicle operation. Okay, so what is the cleaning of exhaust gas? Let us see. The automotive engines burns liquid fuel, whether it is a petrol or diesel, whatever may be. The automotive engines burn liquid fuel, petrol, which is a hydrocarbon, Okay, what is this petrol or diesel? It is nothing but a hydrocarbon. Okay, any fossil fuels, it is made up of hydrocarbon. Okay, what is this hydrocarbon? Hydrocarbon is made up of hydrogen. Always hydrocarbon is volatile in nature. Remember, this hydrocarbon, it is made up of hydrogen and carbon. It is made up of hydrogen and carbon. What happens? Let us come into history of the combustion process, as we have two kinds of combustion. What is combustion? Combustion is burning of carbon, and carbon from the fuel will combine with oxygen from the atmosphere to produce carbon dioxide with release of enormous amount of chemical energy. Okay, and again in combustion we have two types of combustion. One is complete combustion, another one is incomplete combustion. What do you mean by complete combustion? If all the carbon which is present in the fuel, hydrocarbon, it joins with carbon dioxide, it joins with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water vapor. Okay, and carbon dioxide is much harmless to the atmosphere compared to carbon monoxide. If complete combustion to have, the more percentage of carbon dioxide can be noticed at the exhaust. Generally, it is not possible to have a complete combustion in any vehicle. There are several parameters to have incomplete combustion. With the combustion process itself is a complex process which cannot be described. Any kind of fuel look into, you cannot claim I am going to achieve the complete combustion in the system. What to the best what we can do, we can bring the combustion system very close to complete combustion, but complete combustion, 100% complete combustion, it is never be achieved so far. Okay, so in incomplete combustion, what is going to happen? Some unburned hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide formed due to this incomplete combustion, and nitrogen oxide formed due to high combustion temperature will remain in the exhaust gas along with carbon dioxide. See, remember, in case of incomplete combustion, some of the unburned hydrocarbon, that is HC, which is volatile in nature, which is dangerous to the atmosphere in incomplete combustion, along with carbon dioxide, some unburned hydrocarbons, and carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is it is the result of incomplete combustion, and nitrogen oxide. Okay, nitrogen oxide and its percentage will be more in exhaust if the combustion temperature in the combustion chamber is more. Okay, and therefore the combustion can be, you can see the combustion. Okay, the carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, and nitrous oxide, these three along with sulfur dioxide, these are the three important pollutants which causes air pollution, and these pollutants can be controlled. Otherwise these three will reach into the atmosphere, will have an adverse effect on the atmosphere, on the environment, on the human health, on the agriculture. Okay, so these pollutants, which are the pollutants? Carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, which is volatile in nature, and nitrous oxide. These causes the air pollution. And in automotives, the source of air pollution, or what are the source of air pollution? Mainly engine crankcase, okay, fuel tank, and the exhaust. These are the sources of pollutants. The pollutants from each of these sources are controlled. The pollution, whatever the pollutants which are emitted from the above said this thing, if these sources are controlled by emission control devices like crankcase emission control system, evaporative control system, exhaust emission control system. Okay, these can be controlled by using the below listed techniques. Okay, see, remember, again I am repeating, the carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, nitrous oxide, and sulfur dioxide, it causes air pollution. This has to be controlled so that the adverse effect of the air pollution will not be much influential on the environment. And these pollutants can be controlled by using these different techniques. One is controlling gasoline quality. What do you mean by controlling gasoline quality? By using better anti-knock quality petrol. Okay, what is the preferred octane number for petrol? It is 80 to 90, which will have a tough resistance to the knocking process. By using better quality gasoline, the pollutants can be controlled. First technique. Second thing, the air fuel mixture has to be controlled. By controlling the air fuel mixture also, the pollutants can be controlled. Another technique, another method in controlling the pollutants is controlling the combustion process. Controlling the combustion process. Controlling the combustion process, in fact, there we are going to control the combustion temperature, and there we are going to achieve the combustion at a faster rate, at as minimum duration as possible, to avoid the formation of nitrous oxide. Okay, and another method of controlling the above said pollutants, the treating the exhaust gas. These are the 4 different techniques through which the pollutants can be controlled.